Rolling.
Shalom Uvracha. This evening we have the privilege and pleasure of studying together Parashat Beshalach, the weekly section of study of this week. Includes a description of the heavenly food that the Jewish people received as a special blessing from heaven, the special manna food, the special man food. And indeed there's an entire section in the 16th chapter of Exodus, in our parasha, which describes the details of the man. One of the intriguing aspects of man is that it was a daily occurrence. Each and every single day. I'm not now talking about the concepts of Shabbat, which perhaps we will discuss on a different occasion, but every day the man fell. As it says in the Torah, V'yatza ha'am v'laketu d'var yom b'yomo. They would go out each day and receive the particular portion of that particular day. D'var yom b'yomo. You couldn't put away man from one day to the next. In fact, there was a prohibition. Moshe tells them, Ish, al yoter mimenu ad boker. You can't leave anything over until the next day. Don't leave anything over from one day till the next. No man may leave it from now until the morning. The question is, wouldn't it be more convenient to have a weekly man or a monthly man? Why the need every single day of Yatsa ha'am v'laketu d'var yom b'yomo? One can suggest that each and every day has its own new particular blessing. Every day with its new blessing. Baruch Hashem, yom yom, every day a new bracha. But the rabbis teach in the Gemara that the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, one of the great Tannaitic leaders, the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai asked their great rabbi, why did God insist on bringing man food every single day? I'll read the passage. It's in Tractate Yoma, 76a, Yoma Ayin Vav. Sha'alu Talmidav, and Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. The students asked Rabbi Shimon, Mipnei ma lo yarad lahem man, pa'am achat b'shana. If God is trying to bring blessing to the Jewish people in the form of food, so once a year let there be man. Let there be a man happening once a year, and then they have a year's supply of man. Every day, and every day there's nothing concrete that they can point to, or that they can rely upon. They have to wait till the next day's blessing. Let them all fall once a year. Mipnei ma lo yarad lahem man. That's the question of the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Mipnei ma lo yarad lahem man pa'am achat b'shana. Amar lahem. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai told the students, Emshol lachem mashal. Let me explain it with some type of parable. Lema davar domem. To what can this be compared? Lemelech basar v'dam. To a human king. Sheyesh lo ben echad. Who has one particular child. And he decides that he's going to give the annual allowance to this child. Pasak lo mizorotav pam achat b'shana. There was a certain day of the year that he would be able to pick up the entire allowance for the entire year. And you know how often the child visited the father? Once a year, right? Pasak lo mizonotav pam achat b'shana v'lo haya makbil pnei aviv ela pam achat b'shana. Once a year, right? I met this woman when I lived in New York, and she told me, I don't think she's living in this world anymore. I don't want to mention her name, but an elderly woman. She told me she was crying to me once, and she said that she has 2 children, and they don't visit her only once a year. She gives them a certain gift for a certain holiday.
Don't do the holiday.
And they visit her on that holiday. I said, well, maybe you should give more gifts on more holidays, and maybe they'll visit you more often. As this what Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was saying. So the father, the king, said, "Oh, he only visits me once a year because I give him the annual allowance. I'm going to change it. Amad upasak mizonotav b'chol yom." Now, instead of an annual allowance, it was a daily allowance. And guess what? Guess how often the son visited his father? Every day. V'haya makbil pnei aviv kol yom. I have two types of great teachers in the overseas program. One type of student has the type of parent who gives them a credit card, an open credit card to use as much as they want, unlimited credit on a credit card. Now, if you have a credit card that you could use, without any restriction, so the only time you have to speak to the person giving you the credit card is when they give it to you. But I have another type of teacher, another type of student in overseas programs here, that their parents seemingly studied this passage of the Mun, seemingly studied the passage of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's ruling. And I've often overheard discussions, I try not to eavesdrop, but it goes something along the lines of, hi ma, shalom Abba, shalom daddy, how are you? By the way, the check that you sent me, 2 weeks ago, maybe you can send me another check. Maybe I received the money that you sent, but we need a little bit more. Those kinds of conversations don't take place if you have an open credit card or you could withdraw money from any ATM machine. So the son, Amad upasak mizonotav b'chol yom, v'haya makbil pnei aviv kol yom. Af Yisrael, mi sheyesh lo arba'a v'chamisha banim. Let's say there was someone who had several children in his family, and didn't have any food. There's no food. A kitchen without food, a dining room without food, a dinette without food, living quarters without any kind of food or drink. There's nothing there. Each day they had to wait for the blessing from heaven. So where's it going to come from? Hayad doeg va'omer, and he was so worried because by the end of the day, and let's say you did leave over the month from one day to the next, the Torah records in our section, that which happened when the month was left over from one day, it spoiled. So even there were people that went against the teaching of Moshe, and the Torah records that the food. So there was no security. So where's the sense of security? I can't even have food for the next day. What happens if the bun doesn't fall tomorrow? And there are no grocery stores, and there are no fruit shops, and there are no food outlets in the desert. How am I going to feed my family? And the whole family, God forbid, will perish in hunger. So what did they do as a result of the fact that they didn't have man for more than a day at a time? What was the result of this? What do you say?
Pray.
Everybody was connecting to God every day. Nimtza kulan mechavenim et libam lavihem shemashamayim. So the man served as a stimulus for a close relationship between the Jewish people and God. They were constantly turning to God. If they had an annual month supply, theoretically they would forget about God till next year. And therefore, one of the messages of the month is some form of daily connection, some form of daily ration, some form of daily reliance upon God's blessing.
Well, there's 2 points. I'm not sure what the connection is, but the one point being that the difficulty of the man being given every day is that it's a nest, but at the same time the difficulty is that when you see it day after day after day, is seen as a nes. It becomes something de jure.
Yeah, but there's nothing tangible in your house. There's nothing tangible in your tent. You have nothing to serve tomorrow unless God brings the blessing. That's the point. The point is you are totally dependent. It's like the country today. May Hashem, shower abundant rain upon Eretz Israel immediately. The people they're waiting for the rain. Where's the rain? We can't. We have water shortage. God forbid in Israel. Right? We need the rain. We need the blessing from heaven, and we're dependent upon it. It means we are dependent upon the blessing from God. And on some level, this teaching reminds me of the teaching of the Rambam. Maimonides Rambam teaches in his commentary on Pirkei Avot, and it's written about also elsewhere, that in the laws of charity, even though in mathematics, 1,000 times 1 is surely equal to 1 times 1,000, but the Rambam teaches, Maimonides says, that often, if you give 1,000 donations of $1, that can be greater than 1 donation of $1,000. 1,000 donations of $1 often can be considered greater than 1 donation of $1. It's the same thing. In both cases, you gave $1,000. So some say, well, it means, because you did 1,000 acts of charity, right? Here you only give one act of charity. It's the same amount. Here you gave charity $1,000. You become more accustomed to charity. I think the Shem Shmuel, the Sachat Rebbe says, well, maybe if you're connecting to the poor person who has a God connection, because Imo Anochi B'Tzara, God is with the poor person, so 1,000 times you've connected with the Shekhinah that's together with the broken-hearted one, as it says in Tehillim, Karov Hashem, the Nishbarei Lech. But I was thinking perhaps that maybe if we learn from the message of the man, if you really want to get to understand, if you really want to get to connect to the poor person, then perhaps if you just give them an annual check and you have nothing to do with them in the course of the year, so maybe you're missing the message of the man. Maybe if you really want to feel connected, if you really want to feel a certain sense of togetherness, as God taught us through the message of the man, not because you want to create dependency levels. I mean, we're not looking for people to be dependent upon us. But if you want to really connect, then maybe the 1,000 donations of $1. Of course, you have to understand that there are times where if you give 1,000 donations of $1, it's cruelty. If the person needs $1,000, you don't give it to him 1,000 in 1,000 installments. It's because Rambam said 1,000 times 1. I mean, we're talking about all other factors being equal. But maybe the constant connection will create a certain level of tremendous closeness. Prayer is not only because we need things, but prayer is there to develop a certain level of great association. I hope that every person is blessed with his and her particular portion of man each and every day, and may we appreciate the great closeness that God creates through the gift of man. Thank you so much. Okay, Misha Berach Avotenu, Abraham Yitzchak Yaakov, Moshe Aaron David Shlomo, Yimotenu Sarar Karachav Le'el Yivarech V'Rapeh, Chazek V'Yitzar V'Yishmar Et Yirmiyahu Ben Pri Ben Nachama, Vet Sarah Shirel Bat Lorraine, Yachad Im Kol Cholei Yisrael. El Narafan Alhem HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachmim Aleihem Lachlimam L'Rachatam Lachzikom Lachyotam Yishlach Lehem Mehira Refuah Shem Al Hashemayim L'Chol Ivreihem L'Chol Gidehem B'toch Shar Cholei Yisrael Refuat HaNefesh Refuat HaGuf Hashtab HaGalav Zmach Lev Amen.